Hello and welcome. My name is Ashley. Today's book review is going to be on Midnight Blue by L.J. Shen. I found this in the recommended section of my Kindle Unlimited. I think it might have been trending, but it had really high ratings. It was like 5 stars with 150 something reviews. And I don't typically like the star ratings because I feel like depending on what you're looking for in a book is going to determine whether or not you like it. But it didn't change the fact that I had high expectations for it. And I had some issues, just the way I think, the storylines I like, and so I want to talk about it. And I'm going to include spoilers because it's not fair to the book or to me to not be able to express them. So if you don't like spoilers, this probably isn't the review for you. That being said, this book takes place with a woman named Indigo going on a job interview for what she thinks is going to be a personal assistant, and it turns out it's really more like a sobriety coach. And these two things are very different from each other. Obviously, a personal assistant, you're faxing things, copying things, getting water. The sobriety coach actually has to follow this person around 24/7 and unless somebody else takes over because they're trying to keep them sober. So the person that Indigo is going to be the sobriety coach for is a man named Alex. Alex is a huge rock star. He went to rehab. He's addicted to both alcohol and drugs. He does not want a babysitter. He's gone through, I think, 6. Now Indigo has to find a way to tolerate a man who does not want her there. Indigo has a really good reason for wanting this job and wanting to deal with Alex, even though he tries his best to make things miserable. And that is that this job is 3 months long, pays $300,000, and she lives in an apartment with her brother, his wife, and their son. Their son needs tubes put in his ears, and the family's completely broke. The wife, Natalie, has a job, but the brother's been laid off. It's a really rough situation, not to mention the fact that the brother actually took Indigo in when their parents died. Indigo feels like this is a way to pay him back. And I say that because I really appreciated that part of the story. If you're going to make a girl go through a really frustrating, difficult situation where people are mistreating her, it makes sense for her to have a real reason other than money to be there. And so even though he pays a lot, it's really just about her family and trying to get them in a different type of life. When Indigo goes on tour with Alex, as I mentioned, he doesn't want her there. He's going to try his best to get rid of her. And I, again, understood that part of the storyline. There is a time when Alex and Indigo start a relationship. That part of it bothered me. I felt like there were times where there was emotional abuse. For instance, Alex is in love with his ex-girlfriend, completely head over the hills, and his intention is to get his ex-girlfriend back. So there are times where he'll tell Indigo that he's just using her for her body, or that he can't be in love with her because he's always going to love his ex-girlfriend. Just ways of making sure she's always in her place and knows that she's disposable. That felt icky to me. Towards the end of the book, after Indigo has joined Alex on tour, they've gone through their phases. They didn't like each other. They've kind of dealt with each other. They started sleeping with each other. They started to really understand that they want each other. And then this bombshell. So that's where we're at. And the bombshell is that Alex's ex-girlfriend is the one who hit and killed Indigo's parents. And one of Alex's ex-best friends knew about it. Alex was there with the ex-girlfriend the day that she hit Indigo's parents and accidentally kind of covered it up. Even though Alex wasn't knowingly involved in this situation, when the ex-girlfriend came home, he did ask, did you hit something? What happened? We should go to the police. But the girl really made it sound like there was nothing to be said about it, and so he let go of it. The girlfriend runs to the ex-best friend, Will, and tells him that she really did hit people. Will helps cover it up. It's this whole big thing. Bottom line is, in a broom closet when Alex and Indigo are making up, this ex-girlfriend comes in and tells him that she's the one that hit the parents and killed them. Indigo kind of blames Alex for not calling the police or attempting to figure out what happened, and thinks that he could have saved her mom if she did, and it turns into this whole big messy mess thing. Will, apparently, that's the ex-best friend, felt guilty that Indigo was living in this apartment with her brother, and they were trying to figure out money, and they were poor, and so he thought since Alex needed a sobriety companion, this was a good opportunity to help Indigo and kind of ease his guilt in the whole thing. All right, so I know that that sounds confusing because, quite frankly, it's a web of crazy weirdness that is just, like I said, unrealistic. And I know it's a book, but unrealistic for a book coming from a woman who reads books about vampires and werewolves and aliens, it really is unrealistic. And the whole thing could have been simplified. Just basic. The girlfriend goes to Alex's manager because she knows that the manager's going to try and protect Alex. Later, when Alex needs a sobriety companion, the manager has this attack of conscience and decides that she's going to try and get Indigo on the tour and pay her a lot of money to help that situation out. The end. It doesn't involve 15 different people trying to hide stuff, sneaking around like there's some kind of ninjas. The whole thing, just simplify it and put one person in charge of it. Because one of the things I didn't like the most was how many different people had to work together to betray Alex in order for them to have pulled this whole thing off. And then all of them have jobs at the end of it. None of that made sense. I didn't like it. There is a point after that whole bombshell thing where Alex falls off the wagon and he starts doing drugs and drinking again. It shows up at Indigo's apartment and tries to get her back. Really, it's actually kind of sweet. The whole thing is built around this. Have you read the book, The Little Prince? They have a lot of that going on in their relationship where they keep quoting The Little Prince and stuff like that. He goes to her and really lays his heart on the line, but because he's drunk and drugged up, she won't hear him and basically just says to him, "How long has it been since you've been sober?" and shuts the door in his face. Which was great because finally Indigo has a spine and is standing up for herself, and it does inspire Alex to change his life, go to rehab, start getting better for himself, fixing things, not forcing other people to keep him clean and having other people force him to make the right decisions, but him making those decisions for himself so that he can straighten up his life. And by the end of the book, I would agree that Alex deserves Indigo. But this whole big mess of stuff in the middle of it, I just felt got in the way of what could have been a really good story. I know there are a lot of people out there who love this book, enjoy these storylines, completely disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. I personally don't enjoy storylines where I cannot believe that this actually would happen. I personally would have preferred Alex hit the parents and then Indigo have to figure out how to deal with the fact that she's in love with a man who killed her parents. For me personally, that bombshell kind of destroyed the storyline for me. And I know people are going to disagree with me. That's just my opinion. If you have any questions or comments, if you personally like this book, feel free to comment down below. I am not angry about it in any way if we disagree on whether or not a book is good. This was just not for me. If you'd like to, you can email me. If you want my reviews every week, subscribe. Thank you all for joining me. I will see you again soon.